My name is Todd Norian, and I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga. Welcome to the Leadership Trilogy number 3 on Kula, or community. Very happy to be with you today, and I'd like to start by acknowledging one of the participants in the Ashaya Path leadership teacher and leadership training. Her name is Sheila Agabeya, and she is from Uganda. And this is the very first time that anyone from Africa has taken the Ashaya Path teacher training. So I'm so excited, and I really want to warmly welcome Sheila for her dedication and being interested in the yoga. And this is part of Ashaya's vision to create Ashaya Yoga Uganda, which is an outreach program where we want to bring Ashaya to areas where there isn't much yoga, when there's those in need. So I'm very much looking forward to this. So welcome. Kula, as it is a Sanskrit word, and Kula means community. It also means family, but it's more like a community of the heart or a family of the heart. In a more general sense, it refers to a body, physical body that has communities of cells and systems and organs, and nervous system would be considered a kula, as well as the planetary bodies that orbit around a star or orbit around the sun. In traditional times, kula was used when groups of students would take a private initiation with a teacher. That initiatory group would be considered a kula, and they were able to share within the kula itself, but they couldn't really describe their practices outside of that kula. Kula is very important for the practice of sadhana, and that's spiritual practice. And why is that? Well, because a lot of obstacles and challenges can arise when you commit to doing a daily practice. And much of my spiritual upbringing was in community. So years ago, I lived at a yoga ashram, which was Kripalu when it was an ashram. And I'll never forget that there was a certain period of time when there was mandatory morning practices. So we would awaken at 4:30 and start practices at 5 a.m. So I loved the practices, so it wasn't mandatory. I just wanted to be there. But, you know, things would happen and I wouldn't be in the mood to get up sometimes, or I would go to bed late and I wouldn't want to get up. But we had this system of there was somebody in each of the hallways there that would give a little knock on my door at 4:30. And then they would come back a few minutes later to check in, like, hey, you up? And you know, I so wanted to get up, and that little knock, that little nudge from the community really helped me. And then when a community does a practice together, or there's a program together, everyone shows up at a session, there's a subtle energy that influences you to be able to get up and go. So I remembered that, you know, the whole community would show up in the morning there at Kripalu because the guru would come and give these incredible teachings and blessings. And I just never wanted to miss that. But knowing that the whole community was going is like a stream. It's like a current in a stream, an energy that just kind of pulls you along. And that's a real value of community, to help you go in the direction you want to go in, that you know is good for you. But sometimes there's personal resistance that comes up, and you know how it is, like your friends influence you. For better or for worse, by the way. But when it's for better, it's really nice to be part of that stream, a current of people with a similar desire or intention as you have, in order to develop your practice and be consistent. So Kula is absolutely necessary for consistency in taking on any kind of a spiritual practice. Then there's the category of Kula as it relates to leadership, and also as it relates to relationship, because we're all leaders of ourselves, but Kula is the reflecting pond for leadership. How you lead yourself shows up in community. So it's very important to understand this dynamic and this relationship. And as leaders, we want to know our communities. We want to be in tune with them to know what they need, what they want, how they're feeling. And then to be a leader, if you're going to be making decisions that influence or affect other people, a good leader or a heart leader is going to make a decision that's the best for everyone and leave their personal biases or their personal judgments out of the equation. So it's very good, and to use leadership as a spiritual practice. So if you're wanting to put something forward and you're getting a lot of pushback or a lot of resistance from people, then either we can become defensive, okay, or we can be a heart leader, which is we step back, we listen, and we're not quick to make decisions right away, as we want to gather all the necessary information so that decisions that we do make can be informed beyond our own individual self, but informed in terms of the community. On a more subtle level, this idea of relationship and leadership and kula, they're all interconnected. In Tantra, there's never just one relationship. When you're in relationship with one person, there's always 3 levels of that relationship, and they happen simultaneously. So there's the self, and then there's the other, and then there's the relationship or the communication between the two. So that's what I mean by there are 3 levels of relationship. Always 3 are happening. So at the basic level, I'll just tell you right off what the levels are, and then I'm going to unpack each one a little bit more. So there's the first level, which is the most external level, is I am nothing like you because I'm myself. We're different. I was raised differently. I might have different beliefs, we're just nothing the same. Then the next level is I am something like you, which recognizes that, well, we have some things in common. We're both human beings. We both come from the 5 elements. We're both hardwired for love and belonging. We share in human emotions, which actually helps you have empathy for other people. And then at the ultimate level, I'm nothing but you, meaning that we all breathe the same air. We're all infused by the one light that does create the rainbow of colors, but it comes from one light into the many. There's one universe into the multiverse. And also, we're all warmed by the same sun. So at this ultimate level, there's a sense of deep interconnection such that we are merged in our separateness. We are actually one. Now, quantum physics backs this up with the string theory that says that everything is subtly connected to everything else. And in Tantra, the actual word Tantra means weaver's loom, where we weave back together the dispersed parts of ourself into an integrated, meaningful matrix of relationship. So it's this acknowledgement that everything in life is interconnected. There's even another scientific sort of theory that we hold the entire universe from the beginning of time to now, that has very subtle aspects of atoms of every living being. So we're walking around with atoms of Moses, atoms of Jesus in us and Mohammed, and atoms of everything, all of our ancestors. So I don't know if that's true, but if you think about it, we are actually many universes of everythingness, many universes of everythingness. And I love that idea that there's such an interconnection between things. So at this ultimate level, if I hurt you, I'm hurting myself. If I hurt myself, I'm hurting you. So from a leadership perspective and how we interact in community, this third level is very important. So level of unity that sees beyond the separation that we have, to know that however I lead myself, whatever decisions I make for myself, actually affect everybody and everything else in the universe. And that's a big responsibility. But basically, that's how it's been the whole time. So really, the sadhana of leadership is to focus on yourself. What's going to support you to bring the best version of yourself forward? Because ultimately, when you're kind, other people are kind back to you. When you're able to have empathy for another person, it's a way that creates a closeness because they feel you feeling them. So empathy is so great because it acknowledges the difference. I don't have to be in your situation to understand how you feel and actually to know that feeling myself. So this idea of empathy is a conduit to get us to this third and deepest level of interconnection, which I believe is the highest level of Kula and the highest level of leadership, because you're so in tune with yourself and also with the universe around you that whatever decision you make, there's always a harmony. There's always a connection, that it's never just a decision for yourself. Because the same thing is true, like we don't want to make all these great decisions for the community that are against ourselves. And of course, we can call that martyrdom. We do it sometimes, and sometimes it's appropriate to do that. But the tantric teaching is going to be that we have these three levels happening simultaneously, all at the same time. We are separate, and yet we're unified at the same time. The brain can't really compute that because it's a paradox. That's two things existing in one space. It just seems like, oh no, that's impossible. But do you guys remember seeing the game or the trick where it's a series of lines, and when someone points out the image, and someone says, okay, there's a young maiden and a crone in the same set of lines. And you look at it and it takes a while, and then finally you see the young maiden in there. And as you're looking at the young maiden, you can't see the crone. And then your brain switches to find where the crone is, the outline of an older woman or a crone in there. Then as you're looking at the crone, you can't see the young maiden. But their presence is both there. They're both there, but our mind can only see one thing at a time. It's a perfect example that there is separation and there's unity of the presence of everything happening all at the same time. Well, I'm going to leave it there. That's a lot to chew on for the rest of your day and the rest of this week and for the rest of your lifetime. You can try to understand what I just said, or just turn it off and say, he's crazy. So I hope you enjoyed the teachings. And if you want more of this kind of teaching, I invite you to register for the Ashaya Path Teacher and Leadership Training at the 36-hour version, which is Ashaya Deepening, or at the 200-hour version, Ashaya Awakening. Both are still available now up through the 17th, and we're still going to take registrations up until the day that it starts, which is the 24th. But we hope people will register before then, so we can know how many people are going to be in the course. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time and energy. And let's just bring our palms together in front of the heart, and then close your eyes for a moment. Take a couple of deep breaths. Feel your right hand and your left hand, and press both hands together evenly. And then begin to breathe and sense and breathe into the space in between your hands. They're touching, but breathe into the space between them. Try to feel the perfect unity between right and left that opens a doorway to the heart that can embrace and have empathy for all beings. The heart embraces our individuality. It embraces our separateness as part of the greater whole. For a few more breaths, just bask in the wholeness of the heart, this abode of the self, the home of the self, where we feel connected, where we feel safe, open to the light of the universe. And from this place of deep interconnectedness, this place of unity that embraces all separation, let's take a breath and chant Om. The light in me bows to the light in you. And in that light, when we're in our hearts, we are one. Namaste.